Great question from Mr. Pittman. Let's talk about what happens when the executive branch decides to just ignore the courts. Under our system of government, judicial orders are not optional. When a federal court issues a ruling, whether it's the Supreme Court, a circuit court, or a district court, it's binding on the parties before it. If the administration refuses to comply, we're in constitutional crisis territory. Historically, presidents have occasionally tried this. Most famously, Andrew Jackson reportedly responded to a Supreme Court ruling he didn't like by saying, "John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it." And while that quote may have been said in jest, the sentiment is real. Jackson ignored the court, and it led to devastating consequences for Native American communities in the Trail of Tears. But in modern times, outright defiance of a court order is exceptionally rare because consequences are severe. So here's what can happen. Number one, the courts can hold officials in contempt. This can mean fines, sanctions, or even jail time for government officials who refuse to comply. Number two, Congress can step in. If an administration is openly defying court orders, Congress can use its oversight powers, cut funding, or even pursue impeachment. Number three, the public and media response can be overwhelming. Open defiance of the courts is a fast track to legitimacy crises, mass protests, and loss of political capital for people like J.D. Vance. Now, if we ever reach a point where an administration systemically is refusing to follow court rulings, we're in full-blown constitutional crisis territory. That's when you start hearing things like the rule of law has collapsed. It's not something that we want to see, but it wouldn't be surprising with our current president. So short answer, ignoring the courts is not an option unless you're actively trying to dismantle democracy. And if that happens, we're in for a very messy legal and political battle.